Hey everybody, it's Gypsy and welcome to On the Edge of Appalachia. Today is May 4th, 2025. It's Sunday morning and I am on my way to go and vend, and when the weather is like this, we don't get many customers. People just don't want to go out in this weather. And man, it has been like this for days. We've been having some really strange weather. We had huge hail coming down. I mean, it was the weirdest. We don't get hail like that. We just don't. And we still have a few more days to go. We will not be seeing the sun until Thursday. And I thrive on the sun. I'm really feeling this. I could do a couple days with no sun, but after that I start, it starts getting to me. And it puts me behind in my gardening. I still have to finish planting the corn. And I have to really, seriously, and this is a serious one, get the beds ready for the peppers and tomatoes. And it's like, I am really far behind. So anyways, I said on Sundays, I'm not going to really talk about gardening, not Sundays, but the weekends. Because, I'm going to the flea market. This season ends the end of June. Then we have 2 months off and we start the new season in September. So, it's not going to apply when I'm on break. But this rain is picking up. So I was watching a video clip this morning. And it's from, I have 2 news shows that I watch a lot. I mean, I have to get like as many sides of the stories as I possibly can before I make a decision on it. So I listen to a lot, but this is one of my favorites. It's called Redacted. The reason I like Redacted is because they are so impartial to any side. I mean, it's just like they will tout the praises of President Trump as long as he's doing something they agree with. But they don't do it blindly across the board. There have been times, not just with President Trump, but any other people, as long as I've been watching them for years, they will do that. They will not, they're not loyalists yet. It's, they're realists, actually. That's why I like them. So anyways, they talked about something that I have been saying for a very long time. And this is a hard thing for me to talk about because it is very personal to me. And it is that time of the year, the anniversary of my son's death is next week. So, I thought it was well timed. But anyways, this thing with the student debt and the universities and colleges, the student debt forgiveness. I agree with it and I don't. I don't believe that you should take that burden and put it on others who don't deserve it. Now, what I've been saying for I don't know how long now is that the student debt needs to be put where the blame belongs, and that is the universities and colleges, especially these highfalutin universities, of which we do have one in Cleveland, which my son attended. I feel that they have, I'm trying to think of the right words, they have scammed our young people for a very long time. So back in the 70s and 80s when I went to school, and they started talking to us about college, not until high school, at least. I think it was like 11th grade. They started talking to us about it. And we were told that, it is a good idea to go, but it's not necessary. And it's a good idea if you are choosing certain professions that require it. If you don't feel that college is for you, no problem. And they would help you go in a different direction, like maybe to a trade school. Maybe it's a profession where you did not need school. Whatever. And we had a program that was really good if you were not planning on going to college, and I took advantage of that. It served me well. So then we get to my children going to school, and it's a whole different story. So my oldest son, high IQ, not genius level, but verging on it. He was right on that cusp. And, so they were really trying to talk him into going to college. He had not planned on it. But they did not do this just to the kids with the higher. I mean, it was all the kids. I couldn't believe when my son told me in middle school, they were already talking about college and were telling them they had to start thinking about their major and stuff like that. I was like, you're like 12, 13 years old. Nobody that is way too young to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life and make that huge of an investment in it. And, I started becoming suspicious then. But yeah, they start pushing it when they're minors, okay? And so by the time they turn 18, they expect these kids to have it all planned out. So they are brainwashing these kids, boy, this brain's getting heavy, into picking, you have to go to college. Oh, here's something my son told me. They scare them into, they use a lot of fear-mongering. If you don't go to college, you'll be living on the streets. You won't be able to support yourself. Well, guess what me and my son found out? It's actually the opposite. Anyways, now when my son was not planning on going to college, I don't know. Anyways, when he was not planning on going to school or to college, I did not worry about it. Both my boys are very smart and resilient. I knew he could figure something else out. I knew he would be fine without going to college. But he had the schools and some friends, older friends, who would tell him, John, you're so smart. It'd be a waste for you not to go to college. Well, I remember his mother being told that too. I was even told that by my dad. Now, this was a long time ago before, this weirdness became very obvious that they were trying to talk every child into going to college. And my dad thought that I should go because of my intelligence. He felt it was a waste. But, times were different during my time. I mean, I'm only 23 years older than my older son. But boy, things had changed. So anyways, they are working on these kids from the time they're about 12 years old, getting them to make a decision. So they've trapped these kids while they're still minors and they're not even adults. So I cannot say that this debt is our young people's fault. They're too young. They weren't even adults yet. And we all remember, even when they were, young adults, we all remember what that's like. You're still naive. You think you're not, but you actually are. So even while these kids are in school, if they feel they need more money, they walk into that office. Like my son, he chose not. He only wanted me to sign the papers as next of kin should something happen. Emergency or something. And that was it. So I was not responsible for his debt. But on the other hand, if you are a guidance counselor or any type of have a responsibility in that section of the university or whatever, and you see a child, maybe a young adult, is biting off more than they can chew, I would think, well, maybe we should talk about this. How about if we call your parents in and discuss it with them too? I wish somebody had done that for my son. But my point is, Redacted was the first. They were the first. I had never heard anybody thinking what I was thinking. That because, I mean, you have these universities are receiving money from the government too. And they're supposed to be private. So they're receiving that money. Now, when they started receiving that money, I am willing to bet, just like it happens with health insurance, when they receive, well, then they just shut up the tuition. Because, I'm sorry, the tuition, I think, is way out of line. Way out of line. Way too high. Okay. I believe, well, oh, look, we're getting money from the government. We're getting this extra money. So if we increase tuition, we'll get even more. And I do believe that's how they think. They don't really care about our young people. And I'm glad that this is coming to light because, all right, it's after the fact for both my sons. So it doesn't really, personally affect me anymore. However, I may become a grandmother one day. And even if I don't, what about the rest of our young people on this planet, in this country at least? What about them? This isn't fair. We got to start being honest with them when it comes to college. Because we haven't been. I think the last time they were honest was in the late 70s. Wait a minute. I'm serious. I didn't realize this before until I just said this. There is a correlation. And for those of you who can't handle it, maybe you should just do the right thing and be a mature adult and just don't finish watching this. Anyways, I do see a correlation there. I'm not going to get into it. I'm sure you guys are smart enough to put two and two together. Anyways, so yeah, great disservice has been done to our young people. My ending, unfortunately, was more tragic than most. But these young people were sold a bill of goods. Oh, you're going to be living out in the street. Let me tell you something. I am not against education. I love to learn. I love to learn. And I am behind anybody who wants to learn more. What I am against is it being used as a scam, especially towards young adults who are still on the naive side. And, they're excited to get started in their life. They just hit adulthood. And they're taking advantage of these young people because of that excitement. Okay? It's wrong. Okay? And now these days, well, you have them taking classes that are worthless. These are non-college classes. These are more extracurricular things. They should not be degrees. If you're interested in this, go learn about it at your own time. Not, in college. It's there. It's available. There is all this knowledge out there. Whether you go to college or not, you can get this knowledge, especially these days with the internet. And yes, you do need to be discerning. We all know that. But, man, our young people, so they graduate. They find out, possibly, that their degree, well, isn't really going to get them a job. Because it's just one of those, for instance, my son, he's like me. He was quiet, like I am, and would sit there and just like people watch, which is something I do. It's one of my favorite hobbies. So he took sociology. Well, it didn't take him long to figure out, well, what am I going to do with this degree? It's not going to get me a job. So he did what most people would think is the right thing. I did not agree. Not with the move. I agreed with the move. I didn't agree with his choice. It didn't fit his personality. He went into accounting. Now, yes, high IQ. He could do it. But he would have been bored out of his mind. It's not like accounting. So anyways, it did fit. But he did figure out that was not going to benefit him. A sociology degree. And they just have increased the amount of degrees that are not going to serve our young people. Okay, so there's another part of the scam too. So they are charging our young people massive amounts of money, to the point these young people graduate college and all of a sudden they realize, well, they can't get a job. They can't find one. Or if they do find one, it may not have anything. I hear this a lot, even with people my age, when they would, back in the day, they would graduate college and they weren't working in the field that they went to college for, and I didn't get that. Okay, I didn't go to college. I did go a little bit in my 30s. But now, if they do get a job, they come to realize, well, they're not going to finish paying off this loan until they're at least in their 50s. You're starting a young adult who hasn't even become a parent yet, and they're not going to have this loan paid off until the grandparent age. Okay? That is wrong. Okay? I am all for education. I love learning. Like I said, I highly encourage it. What I am not for is using it to take advantage of people, especially people who are just starting out and naive, and they're excited about their life, and you entrap them and you take away their dreams. It's not right. It's wrong. And I'm not just talking about my boys. I'm talking about every young adult and future young adult. These people are not just the future of our country. They're the future of this entire planet. And they've really they got scammed. And it makes me angry, and yeah, even with people I don't know, my maternal instinct, it goes on overdrive sometimes, even when they're not my children, even if I don't know them. It's just, I guess it's what happens when you become an old woman. I don't know. Look at this rain. It's not going to be sunny until Thursday. Anyways, it's a bad week for me to have rain like this. I need sunshine to lift my spirits and give me energy. I love the sun. But that is my rant. And I always believed, no, we should give student debt forgiveness to these people. But we should not be placing the burden where it does not belong, which is typically, well, their parents, family members, so it's really the same thing. But, and even those who don't have kids, are paid. Boy, is it foggy down there by the river. The burden's put on them. No. I keep thinking the burden should not be on the taxpayers or anybody else. The burden needs to be placed on the perpetrators, which is the universities and colleges. And I have felt that way for a long time. And if I did mention it, I would just kind of get these blank looks, like I was, speaking Martian or something. So this morning, when I watched this video, I was like, that's what I've been talking about. This is what I mean. No, let the colleges, take care of the cost. Eat the loss, whatever. Okay? You did this. You did this to our young people. You hurt them. Everybody wants their children to have a good start in life when they hit adulthood. And you stole that from the parents too. I know it was stolen from me. And if you have any mean comments, keep them to yourself. Try to be mature and keep it to yourself. But when my son graduated college, he went to Case Western Reserve University. He had so much debt he couldn't figure out how he was going to pay it. They were going to garnish his wages. And he said, Mom, now my son, living with mommy as an adult was not a thing. We had planned on it happening. It was a thing. And he changed his mind at the last minute. Anyways, he said, Mom, after they garnish my wages, I don't know how I'm going to buy groceries or pay rent. He goes, it's not possible. And I won't have this paid off for years. And, they start calling the family and stuff, trying to collect the debt. My son's trying to figure things out, how to do this. How's he going to live? And I was more than happy to have him come back and live with me. But my son had a lot of pride. He figured he was an adult, and that should not be happening. And yes, that's how my generation thought and before me. So anyways, my story with my son ends much more tragically than most. I'm going to say all, but most. He made the choice to not move in with me because he liked his independence and he figured he was an adult. He also didn't like that they were trying to shift this burden to family members. And he told his father that it would be selfish of him not to do this. So instead of having others pay for his debt, he took his life. So, his dad and I weren't responsible for it. And the school didn't get paid. I'm wondering if they got compensated in another way. I certainly hope not. I know that is not what my son would have wanted. But who knows how that works. But we need to change things for our young people. And it is the university's doing. They are greedy. They don't really care about our young people. And if you are in a job like that and you don't care, then don't do it. Okay? I don't know how they came to this. It's much different than when I went to school. And I can only imagine it's gotten worse since my son was in school. So, anyways, I'm going to leave you with that. Blessed be, and make it a